Greetings, audiophiles and Mass Effect fans. Welcome to my reading of my fanfiction, After the Fall. This is a Mass Effect fanfiction, and as such, most of the characters and the universe belong to BioWare/EA Games. No copyright infringement is intended. However, the scenario and occurrences within this fanfiction are my intellectual property, so if you decide you want to share this with someone, credit me. Please. Part 12. Conversation. A tigress was caught in a trap, struggling to free herself. Her roars rent through the air like ghostly thunder. The more she struggled, the more the trap's lines bit into her legs. She flailed with her body, and soon landed hard on her side. A dark shape was coming, roaring as loudly as she. It was coming to kill her, she knew. The tigress closed her eyes. Shepard woke. Again she was transported seamlessly from sleeping to waking. She reached around until she found Garrus's hand and gave it a squeeze to wake him. The Turian rolled towards her with a happy growl, kissing her gently. "Good morning," he said groggily. "Maybe for you," Shepard sighed. She moved stiffly, every muscle protested. Her legs were twin pillars of fire. Bruises stood out, even against her clay-colored skin. "These old bones of mine aren't too pleased with me today." "If you're old, then so am I," Garrus pointed out, striding across the room and fetching a syringe of metagel. He ran his rough hand playfully up her leg before injecting the gel in her thigh. A tingling and numbness spread through her leg muscles, but Shepard knew it wouldn't be enough. Today was going to be a rough day. "Shut up, Garrus," she said, trying to keep her tone jovial. "You're younger than me." "Only by a few years," he scoffed. "Or do human females die young?" "Actually, we females tend to live longer than the males, provided those females don't go courting death on a daily basis," she smirked. "By that account, we should both be in our grave several times over," Garrus chuckled. "Suits me fine." "You don't want to grow old together? Two little old... Do Turians get wrinkled? Anyway, two aged warriors in our rocking chairs?" Garrus scrunched up his nose, making a face. "No thanks, I'd rather die young and beautiful." "Too late for that," she laughed. "Maybe." He joined her laughter. It filled the cabin, making it feel full to the bulkheads with joy, the way any true home should feel. She started to stand up, but her legs had other plans. Garrus had to move quickly to catch her. He scooped her up and set her on the couch as though she weighed nothing. Shepard was tall, especially for a woman, and well-muscled, but Garrus still set her down as if she were made of delicate china. "Do I need to get you to the med bay?" he asked, a warning tone in his voice. "No, I'll be fine. My legs are just pissed off at me for all that adventuring I did yesterday." "Right." Garrus nodded as though he had come to a decision. "You're staying here today. You're going to sit and relax and give your muscles a chance they finally need to heal." "What? No! I have shit to do, Garrus!" She pushed him out of her way, but found herself unable to get to her feet. Her legs were clearly ready for a break. The rest of her felt pretty beat up as well, come to that. She heaved a dramatic sigh. "Fine. I want you to head to the med bay right away and check on Kirahi, as well as any progress they have made with that genetic whatever." "Yes, ma'am." Garrus smiled roguishly at her. His small blue eyes sparkled. "But first..." Garrus bustled around the cabin, fetching pillows, snacks, drinks, and books. He stacked them artfully before her. "This way I'll feel better about leaving you here alone." "What am I, 6?" Shepard asked, though even as she joked she realized that as a child no one had ever made her a little nest like this when she was sick. She had always taken care of herself. So she let Garrus dote, smiling to herself all the while. "You know, some people say Turians look like birds of prey from Earth. I say you look like a mother hen." "I don't know what that is," Garrus said, tapping a few buttons to activate the television screen, "but I think I should be insulted." "Probably." She took one of her pillows in her lap and rested her arms on it as she watched him bustle. Alright, Garrus, honestly, stop. I'm good. Now get your scaly butt out of here and get some work done. He gave her a smirking grin. I could always go calibrate something, I suppose. Garrus! She shouted in mock dismay, throwing a pillow at him. Alright, I'm going. Behave yourself while I'm gone. He leaned down and kissed her warmly. Never, she whispered into his lips as she returned the kiss. It didn't take long after Garrus had left for Shepard to go a bit stir-crazy. She'd always been an active person. Resting was never her speed. She grew bored with every book she started and set each aside in turn. She flipped through a few movies in the ship's databanks. She started watching Fleet and Flotilla, which had been recommended by Tali, but it turned out it was just a mushy love story with hardly any explosions, so she turned it off. Edie, she said to the air. Nothing happened. Damn it, she breathed. She was so used to the AI always being there. Computer? Yes, Commander, the generic mechanical voice chirped. Where is Garrus Vicarian? Garrus Vicarian is in the forward battery. Computer, call a medbay for me. Calling. Chakwa's face appeared on the TV screen. The doctor peered at her monitor, blinking. Shepard? What's wrong? Do you need me? No, Mom, Shepard said sarcastically. Geez, between you and Garrus. Anyway, I was wondering how Kirahi is doing. Garrus was supposed to report to me, but I think the prospect of calibrating the main gun was too much for him. Chakwas chuckled. Shepard saw Stone scuttle past in the background, carrying a laptop in one claw and datapads in several others. Go easy on your mate, Chakwas explained. He did pop his head in, but Major Kirahi is resting, so I told him to leave. So is he doing all right? Kirahi, I mean? Yes, he's very worn out after his rough experience, but he'll be fine. Tough, just like you, Shepard. Good war dogs like the two of you don't stay down for very long. How's the research going? Well, Chakwas smiled. It seems that Cerberus may have been onto something. It is admittedly difficult to test our theory, but we have been looking at a lot of research on indoctrination and its effects on the brain. You may, in fact, have some immunity. How's Cadell doing? He's been quite helpful. He's let us in on quite a few scientific discoveries that Cerberus made, unbeknownst to the rest of the galaxy. Shepard chewed her lip. I feel like I've been here before, with Morden. Is it all right to use knowledge that was gained through cruel methods? You know what Cerberus does to get its information. Did, Chakwas corrected. There may be a few factions of Cerberus out there, but for the most part they're going extinct. You personally killed a majority of their combat units, Chakwas pointed out. I suppose. Shepard still felt uneasy. She had encouraged Morden to keep the data which saved the Krogan people, even if it had been gained through torturous experiments. Had she been right to do so? The dilemma still plagued her. Chakwas seemed to sense her unease. Shepard, we cannot save those who died to gather this information, but we can make their deaths worthwhile by using it to save the galaxy. Again, Shepard sighed. Save the galaxy again. What was that, Commander? Chakwas leaned closer to the screen. Shepard spoke up. I suppose you're right, she said. Keep me apprised of any new information you gather. Of course, Commander, said Chakwas, looking eager to get back to work. We'll talk again. The doctor's face vanished from the screen. Shepard rubbed the back of her neck. Computer, call Liara to Sony. Glyph floated into view on the screen. Commander! The drone warbled. It almost sounded pleased to see her. Hello, Glyph, Shepard said, smiling in spite of herself. Is Liara there? Dr. Chisoni is sharing breakfast with Engineer Talizor of Us Normandy at this time. Should I fetch her? The drone bobbed up and down like an excited puppy. Maybe you can answer my question, Glyph. Has Liara made contact with anyone through your connection to the Elusive Man's base? Not yet, Commander. All has been quiet, Glyph reported. I see. Shepard sighed. A feeling of despondence washed over her. She didn't like it. Someone should have stumbled into the base by now. Scavengers, if nothing else. What's going on out there? She mumbled. I do not know, Commander, Glyph answered her. She looked up, giving the drone a slight smile. Thank you, Glyph. Shall I tell Dr. Tassoni that you called? No need, Shepard said wearily. While it would be nice to talk to her friend, Liara was busy with her own issues. It was probably best not to bother her. Shepard swept her hand through the air to end her call with Glyph. She nested back into her pillows and sighed. Why is it so boring in my cabin? She sat up again. Computer, can I communicate with Earth? Yes, Commander. Excellent. Please put me through to Javik. I believe he's working near London. One moment, please, the computer replied. Shepard waited. After a few moments of absent-mindedly digging dirt from under her fingernails with her teeth, a familiar face appeared on the screen. Behind the Prothean she could see bright blue sky over a mending city. Javik blinked confusedly at her for a moment, then his expression cleared. Commander, it is good to see you. Your planet's sun reflecting off my screen made it difficult for me to recognize you. How are you liking Earth, Javik? Shepard asked, leaning forward. Peering at the screen, she thought she could almost feel a warm breeze touch her cheeks. It is good to be outdoors after so long aboard a ship, and before that, my time in the pod. Your Earth reminds me of one of our worlds back in my cycle. The Protheans own many worlds, but my favorite was similar to this. I've been told you're very helpful with the rescue and rebuilding efforts. I have been trying to keep myself engaged, yes. I like the people here. They do not gawk and stare. They see only an individual who wishes to help them. That sounds great, Javik. Shepard smiled. Before the final charge against the Reapers on Earth, Javik had been talking of returning to his home planet and committing suicide on the graves of his men. Now he looked almost contented. The bright colors of his skin were muted by dust and grime, but he still looked healthier than she had seen him. I think you're at your best when you have a goal. This may be true, he agreed. It is good to be appreciated for my superior strength instead of the mere fact that I am Prothean. Yet I do feel a longing for combat again. I am a soldier, as you are, Commander. If you see battle again, I would like to accompany you. Don't worry, Javik. I think we may have a few fights left to come, Shepard said, unsure how she felt about that fact. I felt it too. The Prothean's voice was lower, almost secretive. You and I can sense it, because war is what we are made for, bred for, what we have lived for. We know when a battle has not ended. Shepard felt uneasy then. If he too could sense the fight was not over, could it mean that this was true? What she had been able to dismiss as a hunch now stood out vividly in her mind. This wasn't over. No, far from it. She shuddered. Well, she said, feeling suddenly very low, I'll let you get back to work. Thank you for helping my people. Javik simply dipped his head in acknowledgement, then vanished from her screen. Shepard pulled her aching legs up towards her chest. She sat, arms wrapped over her shins, her mind lost in thought. This wasn't the end. But what could she do? She was trapped, alone. No, not alone. The best thing about being Commander Shepard was that she was never alone. Computer, call Jeff Moreau to my cabin, please. Yes, Commander. Shepard waited. She half expected Joker to call her and demand to know why she was summoning him. Instead, she heard the doors hiss open and closed. Shepard, I know you've always had a thing for me, but calling me to your cabin while your boyfriend is out to ravish me is going too far. Damn that computer, it wasn't supposed to tell you anything about that, she said, turning to see her friend. He negotiated the steps down to the lower half of her cabin with care. Though Cerberus had helped him a great deal, his bones were still delicate. So, I see that all you need is a razor-sharp sense of humor, and you could pilot the ship. Joker gestured towards her bruised legs. She let her feet fall back to the floor and pulled a blanket over them, but smiled nonetheless. What about your dazzling skill? All bravado. It's attitude, really. Greatness is all about attitude. Who said anything about greatness? She smirked. He limped over and sat beside her on the couch, helping himself to a box of animal crackers. Aren't we supposed to be rationing? He asked as he stuffed the treats in his mouth. I guess it's good to be the captain. I had those set aside before this whole thing started, and you know it, she said, jostling him with her shoulder as she reached into the box as well. Easy, Commander. You wouldn't want to break the best pilot in the galaxy. He made a show of rubbing his arm and wincing. We both know you're not that fragile, she laughed, moving to throw a few mock punches. They both sat quietly for a moment, looking straight ahead. Shepard steadied her hands, which now rested in her lap. Every scar and callus told a story, and many of those stories involved Joker. Jeff, I know you've been kind of, well, upset lately, she ventured. Pissed, he said, not meeting her eyes. Pissed, yes. I just wanted to say I understand. Do you? He stood up, hand on the brim of his hat to pull it down over his eyes. He limped to her bed, then back. Yeah, I'm pissed, Shepard. What's worse, I'm pissed at you. You! You almost died again, which was my fault, and I'm pissed at you. You have every right to be, Shepard said, her tone quiet. He crossed the room again, restless. You're the reason we're here, trapped here in the Sol system. Edie is dead or asleep or something, the geth are down and out, and I've got a beautiful warship and no place to fly her. Yeah, I'm pissed. His voice had gotten louder, echoing off the walls. Shepard let his anger wash over her. He was right. It was her fault, every bit of it. And here people are admiring you, saying you were a great hero. You saved us. But you didn't save us all. Why do people still love you? He paused and his voice became a hoarse whisper. Why the hell do I still love you? Shepard raised an eyebrow slightly. Joker glanced at her face, and he knew she was giving him an out, letting him retreat from the rage. His expression was grateful. Not that kind of love, you sicko. Ew, you're like my sister. Are you trying to gross me out too? Shepard asked, scooting so there was more room for him on the couch. He plopped down beside her. Thanks for letting me vent, he muttered. She tapped the brim of his hat with her fingertips. The gesture had become their signal of friendship, of assuring one another that everything was all right. I'll be sure to shut you up next time. I think you scared the hamster. Joker laughed. Please do. Now, why did you call me here anyway? Some kind of special planning meeting the others aren't allowed to be at? Not quite. She reached forward and pushed a button on the small square table before them. A drawer popped open. Shepard took out 2 controllers and handed one to Joker. I haven't got anything to do today, and I know you don't. How could you know that? Joker asked, taking a controller and flicking the control sticks experimentally. Shepard did a mocking imitation of Joker's voice. I've got a beautiful warship and no place to fly her. Shut up, Joker said without conviction. I get to pick the game. He began scrolling through the ship's library. What about that one? No shooting games. You always win. Here we are. Racing? Hell yeah, racing. A little old school, though. He waved the controller. No full immersion gaming? Are you worried you might break your thumbs? Shepard smirked. Worried I might break my old record. Joker selected a racetrack. Palavin? Really? You know I like to start with a challenge. Now are we gonna game or are we gonna bitch? In answer, Shepard started the race at the same time that she butted her shoulder against Joker's. Hey! He whined. The two sat, side by side in the glowing light of the screen, playing game after game. Trash talk and laughter filled the air, once again making the cabin feel like home.